Hello, I am the one owner, and just the other day I watched Thor Ragnarok, and I felt like I had some things to say about it, so I figured, hey, I'll make a review out of it. And first of all, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the movie as a whole, just a bit, widely, to try not to spoil anything. But once I'm done with that, I will go a bit more spoilery. So first of all, I just want to say that I liked it. It was a good movie. It wasn't very serious though. It was pretty much a comedy. I mean, you'd think it would be a comedy action movie, but there is a lot of action in it, but it's mostly a comedy. But it worked. It worked. It wasn't the best Marvel movie so far, but it was one of the funniest. And yeah, I think it worked very well. They did try to use Thor's humor, which is a lot of self-centered humor, if you know what I mean. He's always been a very self-centered character, so they basically just used that to make him funny on his own expense, and then but he's still very full of himself and cocky and stuff. And I think they actually made that work very well in this movie. And yeah, that's about it for that part. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start talking a bit more spoilers now because I have a lot to say. But first of all, I'm just gonna say there are tons of Easter eggs, tons of references, and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it was a good comedy, and I mean you can probably enjoy it without having watched any of the other Thor movies or any of the other Marvel movies. But you'll probably be a bit lost though. But yeah, I think yeah, I know I'm saying yeah a lot, but yeah, I haven't made a lot of movie reviews before, so this is probably my first one. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into a bit more spoilers right now. So first of all, I'm gonna talk a bit about the characters and the locations. The movie started out, I believe it was in some place that looked like basically that looked like hell. I don't remember what it's called. It's some complex word. And he's talking to this fire demon guy, Surtur, and I think it worked pretty well. He was a cool character, and yeah, Thor was his usual cocky self. It worked out well. The Surtur guy, he was a pretty cool character. He wasn't in the movie a whole lot, but he was pretty cool. Then they went back to Asgard, which looks as good as ever, honestly. It's a very cool looking place. And of course, Loki was, you know, doing weird shit. He actually had this whole theater going on where he remade the whole Loki death scene from Thor 2. And the actors were actually all pretty well known, although you might not have recognized them. One of them, the guy who played Odin in the play, was actually Sam Neill. And there were actually a couple of other characters, but I'm not gonna go into too great of a detail because they weren't really in the movie any else or any more than that really. And yeah, I think that honestly, Odin, or well, Anthony Hopkins, did a pretty good job of actually replicating Loki as Odin. And, I think it really worked well. He did that whole thing well. He played a character playing another character, playing an actor. Whatever. It was pretty weird, but yeah, it worked. It worked. It worked. So I'm gonna try to stop going through the entire story now. So I'm just gonna talk a bit more about the characters themselves. I just want to talk a bit about that part because Surtur wasn't that big of a character, and Loki wasn't pretending to be Odin for a very long time. So first of all, I'm gonna talk about Doctor Strange. I like Doctor Strange. I think he's a cool character. I think Benedict Cumberbatch plays him very well. But unfortunately, his scene in Thor Ragnarok was completely unnecessary. Like, there was no need for that scene at all. He did not play a very big role at all. He literally just did some magic tricks, and then basically just said, "Okay, I'll help you. Here you go," and that was it. So yeah, he should have either been in the movie more, or he should have not been in the movie at all. That's basically my thoughts about Doctor Strange. And then we have Thor. Thor was Thor. He was cocky and all that stuff I already said, and he worked pretty well. He was thrust into a whole bunch of new situations that he's never been in before, and I think that he did that well. It worked. He worked in the situations. He worked as a gladiator on the weird planet. I don't think they actually said what name it had, but whatever. He was there. He was a gladiator. He fought the Hulk, and yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But all the time he was just, oh, I gotta get back to Asgard. Oh, I gotta get back to Asgard. So, but I mean, what do you expect? It's literally his home, and it's being invaded by this, you know, evil villain. So let's go to Loki, who had a pretty mellow part in this. He was villainous, but he wasn't as villainous. He was actually pretty balanced. He was both good and bad, but I like that they actually managed to bury the hatchet between, Loki and Thor. They did become sort of friends, not entirely friends, but still, yeah, and I like that. I think that keeping it going for another couple of movies, that would just be kind of meh, meh. It didn't feel like it was that kind of a relationship where they would actually hate each other. They did feel like brothers, and I think it's a good idea to sort of end that conflict now. Maybe they'll put a new fire under that conflict later on and, make it re-emerge, but I don't think that they're gonna go to the whole hate each other completely again. So I like that. And I like that Heimdall, he didn't get that much, time on the screen, but they did depict his character in an interesting way because he is the guardian, so to speak, the guardian of Asgard. He does decide who gets to come in and who doesn't. But here he clearly saw through Loki's schemes and became a fugitive. And then he just basically worked in the shadows for the entire movie, using his ability to see anything very well, honestly. They used his character in a very good way, even though he wasn't actually in the movie a lot, and I like that. It was really cool, actually. He wasn't very funny, which is fine because he hasn't been a very funny character. He's had his moments, of course, but he is not the haha funny guy. He's just, you know, occasionally he gets a funny pun in or something like that. Not a pun maybe, but he is a bit funny from time to time, but he's not a jokester, so to speak. So then on to the bad guy. I'm going to talk a bit about Hela now. I liked Hela. She was really cool, honestly, and I liked the idea that she was their sister that Odin was trying to cover up, like, oh, you don't have a sister, Thor, you're my firstborn. And, well, Loki was adopted, but whatever. And I liked that because it was kind of cool because all along, Odin has been this rock essentially. He has been this guy that has been all like, "Ooh, a king must never seek war, but he must be prepared for it." And that then it kind of makes sense that that side of him actually exists because he used to be the exact opposite in the past. But he realized that, oh, this isn't working. Holy crap, I'm gonna get everybody killed. So he did a 180 and just decided to protect his people and his kingdom and just focus on the nine realms. And I really think that they really haven't showed that much of his side before. So the fact that Hela actually existed and that whole thing, I think it worked very well. because it does show some kind of, resemblance. They did have kind of a similar story, really, Thor and Hela, because before, well, Thor 1, Thor was a very self-centered, battle-hungry character who just wanted to go to war and prove or himself and stuff like that. But the difference is when he was, sent away, he actually learned something from it. And Hela, she didn't. So I really like that. And Scourge, well, he was kind of a villain of circumstance. I mean, he never actually does anything villainous, really. He just kind of threatens one person with an axe, which is kind of evil, I suppose, but he never actually does anything villainous. He's just kind of along for the ride and doesn't want to be killed. And I kind of like that because it's an interesting thing to have a character like that. Usually all the characters that are like that just go along turn out to be bigger jerks, so to speak. They turn out to be evil, but he actually got a little bit of redemption towards the end, and I really like that. I really like that. I liked Scourge. He was kind of realistic in a sense because I mean, if somebody comes in and just kills all these people and just says, "Hey, I want to give you a job," what do you respond? I mean, are you gonna try to kill the person knowing full well that you can't? Or will you try to, come along? you know, he didn't want any of that really. He just wanted to use the whatchamacallit, the Rainbow Bridge to get stuff from Texas. That's all he wanted to do. So yeah, there is another villain actually that we haven't actually talked about, Fenrir. And I like the fact that Fenrir was in this. As you might have heard, I have never read the original, comics that this is based on. And I really liked Fenrir. He was cool. He wasn't much of a character, but he was pretty cool. He was a big wolf, and he fought the Hulk, and it was pretty cool. I was kind of hoping, though, that Fenrir would be sort of a unique character, like a new character, and that maybe Fenrir would have like an Infinity Stone or something like that, and that he would actually be important to the plot. Why did I wish for that? Well, I don't really know. I just thought that it would be completely unexpected. Oh yeah, so that's about all the bad guys except for the Grandmaster, played by Jeff Goldblum, who essentially just went full Jeff Goldblum. So I mean, he essentially just played himself, really. And I don't know, he wasn't that interesting character. He was kind of two-dimensional. He was kind of this joker. I can see why Loki and he would actually agree on things, why they would become friends. Because, well, they're both kind of tricksters, I would say. But then again, the Grandmaster is incredibly selfish and incredibly spoiled. So, I mean, yeah, as long as somebody's with him, he's completely a-okay. But I feel like the moment somebody goes against him, they're pretty much dead to him. He just doesn't care. So yeah, I think that's most of the main cast. But yeah, there is another couple of things that I wanted to say. Korg was really nice. He was cool. He didn't say much in the grand scheme of things. When you think about it, he didn't actually say much, and pretty much everything he said was in some kind of was a joke. Really, it was a joke. But I think that worked out fine because he wasn't super active in the movie. He wasn't always there to crack a joke. It was just occasionally he came by, cracked a joke, and that was it. And I like that. It worked. And yeah. Final character I think that I haven't talked about is the Hulk. And I think that the Hulk was meh. He was meh. Really, he was meh, and so was Banner. It was just a meh. The reason why I did not really care for the Hulk all that much in this movie is because he talked a lot. Sure, That's fine. He can talk, sure, sure. But I mean, the Hulk is pretty stupid. Yes, he's supposed to be pretty stupid. Yeah, but he's not supposed to be on the level of a freaking baby. Okay, maybe a 12-year-old, but not like a 2-year old, not a 5-year old. You know, which I think that he was for a lot of the movie, and I think that they could have done it better with Banner. I think he could have been a better part of the movie, honestly, with all this alien tech stuff. I think it would have been better if Banner was actually involved in the plan. He was just along because they needed the Hulk, and because, well, the Hulk wouldn't fit in the ship. So of course they had to transform him into Banner. That's the feeling I got, anyways. But yeah, other than that, he was just in it to smash things. That was his entire purpose. There was no real other purpose to bring the Hulk in. It might as well have been just anyone, any character that was powerful enough to punch through a wall, essentially. And yeah, I think that's really one of my least favorite things about the movie. That and the Doctor Strange thing. But they did also the small thing here I'm going to talk about is a couple things that they actually revealed that I think is going to make affect the future movies. And I think one of them was the fact, of course, the one thing that everybody's been talking about. Well, not everybody, but some people were talking about the fact that Odin's treasury had a fake Infinity Gauntlet. That was pretty nice that they actually just pointed that out because it has been a subject of speculation for a long time. But also the planet itself, the Grandmaster's planet, the Concept of Champions, whatever. That planet, they did say that time flows differently on that planet. So, now with that in mind, that may mean that Hydra is coming back. Because if you recall, in the end of Captain America 1, when the Red Skull touched the Tesseract, he was actually beamed into space. It looked like, anyways. It looked like the Rainbow Bridge, whatever it's called. I don't even remember. And he just disappeared. So it is possible that the Red Skull will reappear on the Grandmaster's planet. It is highly possible. And if so, he might come back to Earth. And if so, Hydra might rise again. Who knows? Maybe. But yeah, those are my thoughts on all the characters and, well, locations as well, I guess. But yeah, the movie as a whole was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I think it was something that I think they're kind of trying to compensate for the fact that they made Civil War and it was pretty, serious, although it was kind of, yeah, it was kind of jokey as well and punny, but it was kind of a lot more serious than their average movies. So I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Thor Ragnarok kind of were to, balance it. But I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But yeah, that's about it. I highly recommend it. Good movie. Like I don't know, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, somewhere along those lines. Yeah, I think so. Above average, not super great, but still a very funny movie. I mean, the reason why I don't wouldn't give it like 8 is because it's not balanced. Like the serious moments are still lined with the comedy, most of them, anyways. And I think that could have been balanced better. So yeah, yeah, that's my review of Thor Ragnarok. Bye.